All right, shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom to the 12 tribes, Yash Allah, giving of course all honor, glory, and praise unto the Most High God Yahweh, Bahashem, Mahashiach Yahawashi. That's all praises, honor, glorification unto the Most High God Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Mahashiach Yahawashi, who the world referred to as Jesus Christ, and He's the Savior of the nation of Israel. All right, shalom, shalom. All right, I'm gonna get straight into this. So this is basically going into Peter, all right, and his death, basically. Right, because we know as in the Gospels, right, when we go to the book of John, chapter 21, right, Yahawashi actually told Peter how he was going to die, right, and Peter, he took that as a man, you know what I'm saying, and he had to accept that he was going to die as a martyr for Yahawashi, right. So let's go to the book of John, chapter 21, and we have to big up the apostles, you know what I'm saying. The apostles, they were men who died manfully for the Lord, you know what I'm saying? And that endured to the end. In fact, when we go to the book of John, chapter 15, right? Let's go to John chapter 15 to verse 26. But when the Comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth, which proceedeth from the Father, he shall testify of me. And he shall bear witness, because ye have been with me from the beginning. So Yahawashi said that the apostles have been with him since the beginning. It's not only talking about the beginning of his ministry, but more so on the spiritual level and on a deeper level, it's talking about that these select spirits that the Most High has ordained have been with the Most High and have been with Yahawashi since the beginning of the creation, right? So let's go back to the book of John chapter 21. All right, these men, they're put on a high level. In fact, in the book of Matthew, chapter 19, it says that, you know, in verse 29 on down, that the 12 apostles shall sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to have a hierarchy in the kingdom. All right. So let's go to the book of John, chapter 21. All right. John chapter 21 and verse 21. It says, Peter seen, right? Actually, Salaki, I'm going to start at verse 18. Right, it says, verily, verily, I say unto thee, and this is Yahawashi talking to Peter when you read the account, right? Verily, verily, I say unto thee, when thou wast young, thou girdest thyself, and walkest whither thou wouldest. Meaning, you gird yourself, meaning you put on your clothes, you get to go where you want, you know what I'm saying, when you're young, right? And he's just talking to him specifically, right? It says, but when thou shalt be old, when you're old, right, thou shalt stretch forth thy hands, and another shall gird thee and carry thee whither thou wouldest not. So what is Yahawashi talking about? Because he's giving a prophecy. He's saying to Peter that somebody else is going to put some clothes on you. Somebody's going to carry you where you wouldn't want to be at, right? Let's keep reading. Verse 19. This spake he, signifying by what death he should glorify God. And when he had spoken this, he saith unto him, follow me. So Yahawashi was specifically talking about how Peter would die. And Yahawashi and Peter, he knew this, right? He knew this in the spirit that Yahawashi is literally telling him that you're going to die as a martyr for me. You know what I'm saying? So imagine that somebody is telling you about your death, you know, and this is exactly what happened to Peter, right? So let's go to the book of because remember Peter, he died at a good age. Well, at a lower, older age, 67. Scholars will tell you, about 67 years old. That's when he died, right? Because when we go to the book of 1 Peter, chapter 5 and verse 1, the elders which are among you I exhort, who am also an elder. So Peter, toward the end of his ministry, toward the end of his life, he said so himself that he is an elder. You know what I'm saying? And a witness of the sufferings of Mahashiach, and also a partaker of the glory that shall be revealed, right? So, Salakia, right? Let's go to the book of 2 Peter, though. Because Peter even makes mention of this account that we read in the book of John, chapter 21, verses 18 on down, right? Let's go to the book of John, Salakia, 2 Peter, chapter 1, and verse number 10, right? Salakia, actually, I want to skip down a little bit. Verse 13, right? It says, yea, I think in me, as long as I am in this tabernacle, to stir you up by putting you in remembrance. What does this mean, this tabernacle? This tabernacle is talking about, your body, right? Let's go to the book of 2 Corinthians, right? Chapter 5. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1. For we know that our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved. We have a building of God and house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. Right? So what is this earthly house of this tabernacle? That's talking about your body. All right. Even though this body will dissolve, your body's going to be burnt up. You know what I'm saying? This body is going to dissolve. It's going to rotten down in the earth. But we have a spiritual body, you know what I'm saying, that we want to be clothed with, that's in the heavens, that's waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? For in this we groan, earnestly desiring to be clothed upon with our house, which is from heaven. This is making reference to the spiritual bodies that the elect will inherit when we get the kingdom. You know, Lord willing, we're part of that number, right? And we groan in this body because we're in the flesh. You know what I'm saying? Let's go to the book of Job chapter 4, to just explain what that tabernacle is that Peter is talking about. He's not talking about, like an actual house, right? Job chapter 4, verse 19. How much less in them that dwell in houses of clay? We dwell in houses of clay, as the Most High have said, right? Whose foundation is in the dust, which are crushed before the moth, right? Our foundation is in the dust. The Lord said that, we're dust and ashes, right? In the book of Sirach, chapter 10, verses 9 on down. You know what I'm saying? But let's go back to that. So you should understand, right? And there's more precepts, but just for the sake of time, you should now understand that this tabernacle that Peter is making reference to is not making reference to an actual like tabernacle or house, but more so on a spiritual level. It's talking about his body, right? 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse number 14. Knowing that shortly I must put off this my tabernacle, even as our Lord Yahawashi Mahashiach have showed me. So Peter said that, look, I got to take off this earthly tabernacle, right? I got to die. That's what he's saying. I got to die soon, right? Verse 15. Moreover, I will endeavor that ye may be able after my decease to have these things always in remembrance. See that? So basically, Peter was like, yeah, soon I got to die. Soon I'm going to have to give up the ghost and die for Yahweh Bashim Yahawashi, right? But guess what? Peter, he wasn't crying about it, Peter, he wasn't just like, being all sad about it. He was actually saying, look, yeah, I got to do what I got to do, for the Lord, right? Moreover, I will endeavor, I'm going to make these epistles for you, I'm going to keep teaching until that day. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Peter, he didn't give up. And so we look forward, or it's like we look up to these men. You know what I'm saying? Even Peter, he knew how he was going to die. But yet he said, look, I'm going to still do this work, I'm going to still do this work until that day where I got to die for the Lord, So, I didn't want to make this too long, but yeah, he is making reference to that account in the book of John chapter 21. And Peter, he still remembered that, right? He still remembered that, how the Lord told him that he was going to die, right? For him as a martyr, And you can even look that up, how did the Apostle Peter die, right? It says the Bible doesn't tell us how the Apostle Peter died. Yeah, so the Bible doesn't have the account of how Peter died, right? The most commonly accepted church tradition is that Peter was crucified upside down in Rome. Tradition says that when Peter was put to death, he requested to be crucified on an inverted cross, meaning a cross that was upside down. Why? Because he didn't want to make himself equal with his Lord. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what tradition holds, and that's the most accurate description that we have, right? As the account is not written in the scriptures itself. Okay, but that's how he died, on a inverted cross. You see that? And so he had to die for the Lord, right? So come, and let me just end it off with this. This is the book of John, chapter 21, right, in verse 20. So this is after, remember, Yahawashi just told Peter how he was going to die, right? John chapter 21, verse 20. Then Peter, turning about, seeth the disciple whom Yahawashi loved following, which also leaned on his breast at supper and said, Lord, which is he that betrayeth thee? Peter, seeing him, saith to Yahawashi, Lord, and what shall this man do? So Peter was like, what's this man going to do? Right? And he's making reference to John, the apostle. Right? Peter was like, man, if I'm going to die, what about this man? What about John? Right? Verse 22, Yahawashi saith unto him, if I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to thee? Follow thou me. So Yahawashi also made an indirect reference about John and his life, because Yahawashi said, if I want him to wait till I come, right? What is that to you, Peter? Right? Just keep following me. You know what I'm saying? So what does that make a reference to? Yahawashi is talking about, because remember, John, out of all the 12 apostles, John was the only apostle that was not martyred for the Lord. And so he stayed behind, right? He stayed behind. He lived all the way until like around 98 AD, right? Or around 100 AD, all right? To what? To write the book of Revelation, all right? So it was all according to the Most High's plan. You see that? But yeah, but this is, more so focusing on Peter. So with that, I'd like to give Allah the glory and praise unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi. Lord willing, this is edifying. Shalom. From Yasha Allah.